Hey everyone, welcome back to Lucky by Nature. Angelic Vixen here. Today I wanted to do a recap for you for the two most recent Q&A sessions from July 12th and the 14th that the devs from Ragnarok streamed on Twitch. Both videos are each 2 hours long. I know many people don't have 4 hours to spend trying to keep up with what's happening on Ragnarok, so I wanted to be as helpful as possible and summarize everything they said. Because in the videos, it's not just straight Q&A for the 2 hours. Part of it's Q&A and then part of it's just kind of general conversation. So you would have to watch the entire 2 hours each time to kind of get the bulk of the information. So that's why I'm doing this video, so that way I can kind of help you, get ahead of the game and not have to sit through 4 hours if you don't want to. However, if you do have time, I do highly recommend going in and watching the videos or trying to even join on a live stream. They are pretty cool guys and it's awesome to watch them build and fix the map. They also try really hard to answer everyone's questions. To find them on Twitch, go to excited_kangaroo, and I also recommend you follow them on Twitter. I'm going to post all of their information here on the screen. So let's get right into it so I can update you on Ragnarok. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is the Ice Wyvern. They said it's possibly going to get upgraded with a new model because Wildcard showed interest in it. The current model is pretty nice, but they feel they can make it better. I showed my two Wyverns at the beginning of this video, Chill Pill and Killer Frost, and as you can see, they look pretty nice. So either way, I personally think it's fine if they were to keep this model or upgrade it. I know I would like them to be a little bit more powerful because every time I shoot the ice, I just don't feel like they kill the other dinos very fast. And then speaking of wyverns, they are making a second wyvern scar in the south because the map is so large they want them more spread out. So that is actually going to be a great thing for all of us because now instead of having to go, clear across the map if you're in the southern part, you'll have your own scar there to get your wyverns, get the milk, etc. So now I want to talk about the map. They said that the map is going to be released in 2 parts. The first part that's going to be released is the southwest section, and then the second part, of course, is going to be the southeast section. And they're doing that because, of course, the map is not complete and they have a lot of, things to change, upgrade, fix. So again, it will be released in 2 parts. Also, the Ragnarok map is the largest of any official map that ARK currently has. I'm going to put the maps here on the screen so you can actually see a comparison between the different maps, so you can see just how much larger Ragnarok actually is. Also, if you are having any issues with Ragnarok, they want you to report them on Discord under Ragnarok Development. I'm going to show it here on the screen so you know what it looks like, and then report any issues under the bug report section. Alright, so now let's talk about creatures. They said that there won't be any new tameable creatures added, but they did say they will be adding new non-tameable creatures to the boss fights. They didn't elaborate in detail on what that means specifically, so I am curious to see what that holds for our future and the boss fights. It should be pretty interesting. Also, with the polar bears, only 2 spawn on the map at any given time. So if you haven't found one yet, that's why, because they are pretty rare. So now let's talk about spawn issues. They have acknowledged that there are some serious spawn issues. There is a limit to Spinos that spawn, which is definitely an issue, especially now that we are required to get the Spino sale. And then also there is a pretty big concentration of Gigas spawning in the Highlands. So once the map goes official, they will see what tweaks need to be done so that they can ensure that the spawning rate is appropriate for the map. Alright, so now let's talk about the weather. The weather system will get improved and upgraded. Once complete, it will be a blend of weather patterns from the island and scorched earth. Basically, they want to do different types of intensities of rain and snow that will directly impact the survivor. The Jerboa will still predict weather, and they may be upgraded to predict when the volcano erupts. There was also talk about adding earthquakes, but they decided against it. However, they will be adding meteors, and the meteors might drop loot. That's actually pretty cool. Now let's talk about the desert. In the desert, they might be adding quicksand. It's one of the most requested things to be added to the map. So they said it's in the works and it's something that, they've definitely considered and they want to add appropriately in the desert. Also, I do have some really bad news to share. If you have built in the desert, you will lose your stuff. They said that they are going to be making major changes, which will end up wiping a lot of the areas. So if you have built past the barrier in the desert, you need to move so you don't lose your stuff completely. Alright, so now let's go over the bosses. There's actually a lot of information here I need to share with you. One of the only restrictions that Wildcard put on the devs was that they could not add the Manticore to Ragnarok. The Manticore is only for Scorched Earth and it will never be anywhere else but Scorched Earth. Also, the devs of Ragnarok are working on exclusive bosses for Ragnarok, so they will be bosses that we have never seen before, and that's actually really cool. I'm excited to see what that brings to us because, we've already experienced all the bosses, in the Island Center and Scorched Earth, so this is going to be a really exciting change. So the devs are working to make Ragnarok completely standalone. For instance, they are adding their own lore and storyline to the Explorer notes. And I don't know if you know, but Ragnarok follows Norse mythology. As far as I know, Ragnarok means the doom of the gods, and I'll put something quickly up here on the screen so you can kind of get an idea. I actually didn't know that. I found that out, and that was pretty cool. Also, the Ascension is not going to be tech-based. They wanted to do an Ascension something like ancient discovery. So they didn't elaborate what that means, but it sounds pretty cool. And I just like the fact that it's completely different and we get to experience something new and refreshing. Alright, so now let's talk about the update for the cactus sap. With the next update, they are fixing the cactus sap spawn issue. Currently, the only place to get the cactus sap is in the desert, which means you have to bypass the barrier to get it, which is a very small cluster that grows closer to red behind the barrier on the desert side. I uploaded a video on the easiest location to go in, but I know that they're going to try to stop people from going over there. So to fix that, they are putting in aloe vera plants, and I'm going to put an image of it here on the screen. The aloe vera plants are going to have cactus sap. So if you need cactus sap for recipes, you will be able to get it from the aloe vera plants that will be spread out across the map that is available and open to us. So with the last stream that they did, I was able to go in when they were live, and I asked a specific question that personally bothers me, and that's the artifacts. The artifacts are incredibly easy to get except for two, and those two are located in the ice dungeon and the jungle dungeon. So in reality, the majority of the artifacts have absolutely no value because you can literally just jump in the water or go into a cave and grab it. There's nothing in there that even spawns. So they said that that is one of the things they're working on, and that all of the artifacts in the future will be located in dungeons, so it will be very challenging to get them, and of course then it adds value back into the artifacts. Alright, so now let's move on to the topic of metal. There's mixed feelings about metal on Ragnarok. Most of us have become accustomed to having a high concentration metal spawn area. Like on the island, for instance, there used to be the volcano. You'd go there, you could get a ton of metal with your Anki, and you could move on. On Ragnarok, though, the metal is spread out across the map. So there are pros and cons to this. The pro is the fact that there is actually a lot of metal available across the map. The con is it's not convenient to get it. It's not like you can just stop in one area with your Anki, get a ton of metal, and then go. It's going to take a lot more work. However, they did want to share one fact, that there are technically concentrated areas. It's not super close and it's not necessarily completely obvious. You do have to kind of work for it. But in the redwoods alone, there are 581 metal nodes. So that's awesome. You know that you can go into the redwoods and you can get a lot of metal. You do have to spend probably a lot more time getting it, but it is there. The problem that I see is that once people start building in the redwoods, that is no longer going to be the case. So in the very beginning, yeah, it's going to be great, 581 metal nodes. But a lot of people like to build in the redwoods, and then of course that volume of resource is going to decrease substantially. So I do believe that the Ragnarok devs are going to have to consider putting in a concentrated area of metal like we've had on the other maps, and that's what we've become accustomed to, and that's actually what works best. And the last thing that I wanted to share with you is that the Ragnarok devs said countless times that they don't work for wildcard. They want to remind people they don't work for wildcard. They can't change things that are wildcard arc related. They can do things for the Ragnarok map, but they don't have control over release dates. Basically, whatever wildcard says is what goes. So they just want people to remember that, you know, they're more than willing to answer questions specific to the Ragnarok map, but everything beyond that is pretty much not in their hands, and it falls back on wildcard. So that's it for this video. I hope you found it helpful. I will be bringing you updates on Ragnarok as I hear about them. We are planning to start on Ragnarok Official when it's released on console right now. It's basically just a waiting game to see if it's released on time. So until next time, keep surviving.
My work saved the human race.